Welcome into another episode of Preacher in the Hat. My name is Eric. I've got my dad, Steve, across from me. Derek is sitting in a new spot tonight. He is behind the switcher, working the board for us, making all the cuts happen.
Apologies in advance
for
our YouTube viewers.
we do have him with us on audio. But 530 days, 63 episodes.
Wow.
That's how far we're in, and that's how long it took us to get Mr. Ralph Garth on the podcast.
Yes, sir! Wow. Took that long. All right.
500 something days. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's something.
We did it. So
Sir.
that's the end of this episode. We'll be back next week.
See ya.
No bones about it. We're super excited to have you in the room with us, and we're going to want to hear a little bit from you and your story. So, for any of you who have maybe listened in the past, we've done a series that not necessarily in order, so it comes and goes at times, and we have kind of a pop-up series, if you will, that's called Stories of Transformation.
Okay.
And that's why Pastor Ralph is here, so to share his story of transformation, because we believe we've seen maybe just a little bit of evidence over the course of time that the Lord has done a little bit of work in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point. So
Right.
give for the folks that don't know you, give us the quick hitter on who Ralph Garth is, and what he's doing these days, where the church he's working in, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it gives me great joy to be around you guys. I tell you, I love your music. I told Steve when I said, if you don't want them, I'll take them. So
You sure did.
Yeah. But I love that, man. I love your music. I love you guys, your attitudes and everything. But my name is Ralph Garth, and I'm the bishop now over at True Vine Evangelical Outreach Ministry. And also we have a recovery ministry called Discipling Men and Women for Christ. Mm-hmm. We started back, Discipling Men and Women for Christ, we started back in 97. That's when we first opened the doors there. It was February the 14th. And the reason February the 14th, I got married on February the 14th.
That's right.
So I keep everything on the 14th.
Yeah.
So when it's asked, my wife say, how many years we've been married? And we've been married. I say, okay, February the 14th, we've been married 25, 26 years.
There you go. That's right.
So I got everything on there. So we open up then, and we start bringing guys in from off the street, everywhere, working with them. And then we decided that, what about the women? So that's why we got Discipling Men and Women for Christ.
Yeah, and that's an awesome program. Those of us in the room have been able to see, being able to experience, be over there, and for some of the programs y'all have done,
Well, you actually,
graduations.
you actually played sometimes at a graduation.
sure.
I think,
Oh, yeah, of
didn't
course.
you?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
graduation.
do you know, and I hate to put you on the spot for this, because it's okay if you don't, but all those years of discipling men and women for Christ, do you have a ballpark estimate on how many people have graduated from the program?
We have
We should have
had.
told him. We should have let him.
We should have given them a heads up on
Yeah,
something
should
like
have
that.
gave me a heads up on that one. Because there's so many, but now a lot of them still there with me because they are leaders in the church.
Yeah.
But a ballpark from that time, 97, all the way up to now, man, that's thousands.
Oof.
That's thousands. That's
Yeah.
in the thousands because we was all, it's always in recovery is always people needing
Absolutely.
and coming, and then some stay and some go. So I can say that, but I can say this though, but it has been a effective ministry because what we do is instead of letting them go, we encourage them to stay, and then they stay and become deacons in the church and elders in the church and pastors in the church. So then we don't have to call up and say, hey, where you at, how you doing, and all this stuff there because we know this, Yeah.
Right.
But
one thing I want to say and just clear up because for our listeners is you did hear him say that he's bishop So when we call him Pastor, when Eric and I call him Pastor Ralph,
Yes.
we're not busting rank on him.
No.
It's just that we've only ever known him as Pastor
yes,
Ralph,
that's
and
right.
and that's just
That's right.
It's, I think it was a few years ago back when you made the move. We were like,
Yes.
look, hey,
Well, see,
it
your
is what
daddy-
it is. You're always going to be.
I think I made the inexcusable mistake when I introduced him earlier. I'm pretty sure I said Mister, like I've said forever, like all of our guests that we introduce, and that's just unacceptable because I don't think I've ever called him anything besides Pastor Ralph.
Well, yeah, but see that's fine because your dad is the one who did that, as bishop, and stuff. So
We know you're very concerned about the
Yes.
titles. That
and man, I fight against titles, man.
That's right.
No, titles I just can't.
So one of the things that we like to talk about when we're talking about stories of transformation is we kind of like to draw a line in the middle of your life or whatever, and we want to talk some about what it was, who Ralph was without Jesus, and then we'll talk about who Ralph is with Jesus.
Yes.
So if you dare, to keep it family rated, no, I'm just kidding. Tell us a little bit about who Ralph was before Jesus.
I was brought up in government project, Southtown project, and I had a good kid life. We shot marbles, we played ball, we played football. I did a lot of things as a child back then, but we had no mentors around and nobody to tell us, right from wrong. Everybody that was up there, they did wrong. So we started trying to do wrong too, pimps and you had all of this. So we was young, so we couldn't get away like the other guys, the grown-up guys did. So we decided we're gonna go steal some cars and start and go out on Friday night and pick up some girls and go somewhere and tell them a lie, say my mama car, this is my mama car and thing. And we tried to play rich, like we in the project now, and we going over into the Loving Village and play Titusville. And we telling the girls, this is my mother's car. My dad had worked for Southern Railroad or something like that.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But as the years passed by, I felt like it was something much more to life than that, and it was fun what we was doing. To us, it was fun. We would go and steal a car and we laughing and stuff. I remember, matter of fact, I had told a story about there was a car dealership in Southtown called Steel City Oldsmobile. And we have it clear now, so I can talk about this on the on here because I did the story one time, and the guy who owned the place, his father owned the place. He was there when I was telling the testimony, and but he didn't do that. He said, "You've been redeemed now, so everything's good."
Glory.
But,
Didn't he tell you something like the insurance covered it?
Yeah, he said, yeah. So,
Daddy's insurance.
one of the things was he said the police had called him and told him one night, said, they done broke in the place again, and guess what? They drove a car out the showroom window. That was me. I drove it out the showroom. So, but like I say, it was fun, but I kind of felt like it was something else to life.
Ralph, can I interrupt just a minute and say, I knew about Southtown before I ever met you because I heard about it in prison.
Okay.
Southtown Housing Project. But one thing I wanted to mention that you kind of already hit on, there was a close group of people in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like y'all grew up together, didn't you? I mean, there wasn't a lot of transient in and out.
No, it wasn't.
Because a lot of y'all grew up in that neck of the woods, so you were close. Don't y'all even have Southtown reunions?
Yeah, and matter of fact, we're getting ready now to have a one up there where they have tore down the place.
That's right, they just did.
Yeah, well, we're looking at having one up there and bringing everybody back. Yeah. But it was it was family.
Yeah, it was family.
It was family like that. If you was out of something, somebody gave you something. But anyway, like I was saying, Norman SQ and them, and they was staying up on the hill. Tony Tarver and them.
Did Vincent live in there?
Yeah, Vincent stayed up the street from me. But
sorry for all of our listeners who don't know who names those people.
Okay.
That's all right. They're cool.
But and they don't care either way. But
they know it's true.
Yeah, but the thing is, so I felt like something was better, so I joined the Army. And I went in the Army actually to make some money, and I wanted to buy me a car. I wanted to come out and buy me a car. And I had this thing that I wanted to be a pimp. So if I bought me a car when I got out of the Army and get me some girls to ride with, I was going to make me some easy money.
I wonder how many people who have that goal in life
that's
view the Army as a viable path to that goal.
Man, it was crazy.
Not many.
The Army was a means to the end.
To the end.
I think one.
Yeah, maybe one
sitting right here.
There may have
And
just
so
been.
Good thinking, Ralph.
When I got there, I things kind of changed, but I got hooked on heroin. When I went through basic training, I went through AIT, which is that's when you go and you train for the position that you're going to have. Mm-hmm. And I came out a field wireman. I clamped telephone poles and put in telephone lines. Well, I got sent to Germany. At that time, the Vietnam War was still going on because it wasn't over until 1975. So we went to Germany where we was on alerts all the time there. And so what happened was it was so lonely there. We nothing to do. You always hearing these sirens go off, and you got to get in your Jeep, drive up to Czechoslovakia, things like that. And most of the guys that was there was on heroin, and or either smoking hashish, stuff like that. But me coming from Southtown, we didn't do that. We didn't do anything like that because we was scared our mother was going to beat us down, but we stole the cars anyway, but they didn't know nothing about that, Yeah. So when I got there, I was introduced to, matter of fact, when I got there, there's a place called the 21st Center where you go there and you stay there until they pick you up to take you to your base station. And these white guys picked me up, and they picked me up in the Jeep. And we was going to the place that I supposed to be, where I was going to be stationed, there in Germany. And they went off into these woods. And I said, these jokers finna try to kill me or something, I'm not knowing what it is. And they said, this is an initiation thing. They pulled out a pipe and some hash. Well, I'm with two white guys in some woods. I didn't turn it down, I didn't know what they was going to do to me and stuff. So I smoked it. And when I smoked it, my legs were jumping up like this here, all going back. So what's wrong with it, Mm-hmm. But I went on and tried to be a good soldier. And I met a guy who was from Birmingham, Alabama. And he told me, he said, man, I'm fixing to get ready to ETS. And I want you to take over the business that I got. I'm going to show you everything. And you can go downtown, and I'm going to show you all of that, how you buy your heroin, because everybody know you can make you some money. Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about that car now.
Yeah.
This is the way I can make my money. So all of my vet money from the Army was going home. Mm-hmm. And the money that I was making off the dope, it was there. I had it. Right. So just imagine when I got out, I had some money. Matter of fact, I did buy me a brand new car. Mm-hmm. But so...
but you were selling is what
Yes,
you were
I was selling. So every night we would go in the barracks. I would go in the room and everybody in there, and they just shooting dope. I'm sitting up there, I don't do nothing. And they was telling me, I started snorting in my nose. Mm-hmm. And they was telling me, they said, man, come on, you wasting your money, Won't you try it? I said, no, man, I don't like to, put no needle in my arm. And so one night I happened to go in there, and all of them, and I said, these guys look like they having fun. But how can you be having fun, you? You're not now. So I said, all right, man. And I went over to the one, because it was dark in there. I went over to the one and the moonlight was shining. I never will forget that. It was shining in bright. And I stuck out my arm, and he tied it up, and he hit me with it. And I never felt nothing like that before in my life. Mm-hmm. And that moment, I liked it. I liked what was going on. And it kind of like took my mind off a lot of things, too, because I was going through some family issues. I mean, my family, I was kind of like, you know, they didn't keep, like, you know, I wasn't treated like the other kids was. So that kind of like helped me out to get through those years that I stayed there. And
how long were you in Germany?
I stayed in Germany 18 months.
Is that right?
And I stayed in all. I did 5 years in the Army. I did 2 over there, and then I did 3 out here in the streets, which that was really bad. But so as comment, you know, doing heroin every day, and trying to keep them from knowing what I was doing. And I just happened to, one day I said, man, I can't live like this. Mm-hmm. And I went and told my captain that what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So he sent me downtown in Frankfurt, Germany, and for detox. And I went there and detoxed. It didn't do no good because I came back and got with the same thing. Mm-hmm. So now it's time. All these years I've been doing heroin now. I'm an addict. I mean, I got to have it. Matter of fact, before I got on the plane, I had shot some up, and got back here and started looking for heroin here. And when I found it, the place to get it from here, I had to shoot more than I did over there because it wasn't that potent like it was there.
Let's see.
So I had to do at least $500 a day, you know. So how did I get that money? Well, I had money where I came back. I bought the car I want. Then I went and got in, and this is a sad thing, is you start getting girls, you know, hanging out with you, and they done got turned on now. They doing what you doing, so now you riding and you breaking in buildings and stealing stuff and all this here to try to keep the high going. But I was shooting that much, and I had to find out, and the reason that, like I said, it wasn't as potent as it was there because it was, the drugs there was so potent where you had to, people were falling out in the floor when they shoot it up. They fall out, have seizures because it was so strong. And we had to learn how to cut it, you know. But me was selling it. I knew how to cut it and everything like that, so it wouldn't do me like that. But that went on for 25 years. And my mother and them, they didn't want me in the first place because I never did get a letter from nobody in my family. Nobody wrote me. That was sad. I go out there, maybe today, somebody write me. Nobody wrote me. But one girl in Southtown that I was going with before I left, she wrote me all the time. And so I said, this gonna be my wife. But then I'm trying to figure it out now and say, how can I can't live like this. But, you know, I needed some help. I need to stop, you know, and couldn't stop. And so when I got here, my mother had moved to St. Louis, and my brother, she had gave him the house. And so I had nowhere to stay. When I tried to get in the house there, he didn't want me to stay there. So now we're not in Southtown no more. We're over in another area. And so what happened was I had to go up in Southtown and live because, like I say, family. So when I went there, I had somewhere to stay. And did that for many years. And breaking in buildings, stealing, going into grocery stores. And I tell you, you know, this is crazy. I would go into the grocery store because people in Southtown would buy meat. And it was during the Thanksgiving time, and I went in there and I filled the basket up full of butterball turkeys.
As you do, of course.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Because I needed me some, man. So I said, if I sell all these turkeys, man, I'm going to have me a good time tonight. And I filled them up, and I came around in an aisle where when somebody step on the thing, the door open up, I can run out with the turkeys. When the door opened up, I ran out with the turkeys, and this guy came behind me, and up there in South Texas, you're coming down a hill. And coming down the hill with that basket, I jumped on it, riding it, and the whole thing flipped over. Turkeys, turkeys was everywhere, so I got away from that. But it was a fight that long, 25 years, going to soup kitchens and, trying to...
just living from here to there.
Living from day to day.
Now, there were some other guys in there that was in Southtown.
Yes.
That you had known, and in fact, they were younger than you, I think, that started talking to you a little bit about a change, didn't
Well, yeah. So what happened was, it was a lot of guys when I came back who I used to run with and who was still in cars with me. I wouldn't let them know anything about me shooting drugs. But they knew something, so they will follow me when I go to this house to do it. And one day they found out where I was and came and knocked on the door, and they came and they wanted something too. So everybody in Southtown, all the guys done got turned out now. They, most of them dead now because they OD'd or whatever. But yeah, so this one friend of mine, he had given his life to Jesus. And that, I don't think you had asked me to go that route yet.
You're all right.
So
never too early to go that
route. So what happened was he. Let me go back. One of the most miserable and sinful things that I stole from my mother, but this drug talked to you, and you knew where stuff was hidden. You can find it. And I was stealing from my mother and taking money from her and going up the street crying because I didn't, I had to do it, but I was hating I did it. I was possessed by it. I was possessed by it. And my mother couldn't read or write that good. So what I did was I took, she had me fill out her money orders, and I would sign them over to me, and I would go to the post office and cash them out and go sell them. And I was doing all kinds of stuff like that, stealing from her. And she looked me in the face one day and she was crying. She said, "Why are you doing me like this?" And man, it tore me up, but yet still, I couldn't stop. So what I did, I stopped going around. I didn't go around no more. For years, she didn't see me. But then a friend of mine who I used to, in the car, what I had, I would get drunk, get him drunk, and we both travel all night long. And I would throw him, he would get so drunk, I'd put him in the back seat and we'd ride all night long and pick up women, go to the club and stuff. And he gave his life to Jesus. And one day I saw him, I was down by University Hospital, and I was trying to break in some cars down there to steal 8-tracks.
So it was no longer
old school, yeah.
It was no longer about the cars.
No, it wasn't no more.
Okay.
Now, cause now I'm real low now. Whatever, if it was a toolbox, you steal it. Yeah. You done came down.
You
to
go
that.
For this big ticket.
No, that was there. You go for anything that you can get.
That's right.
The big ticket item was good. Now you say, "Oh, I done made a lick now, baby." Whatever. But.
So I want to pause right here. Are we at the lowest of the low?
We're at
here?
the lowest, yes.
Right. So when we were setting the stage for these stories of transformation, this is kind of like that. This is like that inflection point that we get to where we see, what the absence of Jesus in our lives and what that has brought on, because and I love it's almost been like this shift in your story where you're talking about when you were initially were, doing what you were doing, you were having a good time with the cars. You were having a good time stealing the cars. You were having a good time, with the drugs or whatever. But now it's gotten to this point where you were like survival mode, trying to steal stuff.
Right.
It was no longer for enjoyment or anything.
Yes, right.
It's because like this is like, hey, consequences of our actions kind of deal. And so I mean, I don't know. That just kind of stuck out to me, the way that this has been.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And it really sets the stage for like what the special part of it, kind of the turnaround for this is. Knowing what Ralph is like now is that when you hear stories about somebody like that and you're like, really? Like that was like you did that sort of thing. It's that big of a change. It's that monumental, which is why this
drastic change.
Which is why we've been trying to get Ralph on Preacher in the Hat for so long, because this is such a great story of of God's not even just redemption, not just turning it around, but even like
amazing grace
and filling just a life of purpose for for his kingdom and all that stuff. It's good stuff.
Because it was amazing grace, because a lot of my friends dead, and you look back sometimes, you say,
or in prison.
How did I in prison doing life sentence? How I did well. I'm the one who started it, but not outside the older guys, but my generation, I was the one who started, who brought it back here, and everybody would start doing it,
Yeah, right.
And
it's one of those things where you talked about, 25 years of, I think you said 25 years.
25 years
heroin use, and that's one of those things where you might look back and say, or it kind of makes you, it's humbling to think that that God would wait patiently
for that
us,
long.
For 25 years, watch you tear everything down for that long, to say, nope, I got something coming, something's coming, and that Ralph's not going to be able to, it's like he said, it's like he knew you weren't going to be able to run forever.
Right.
And he had a plan all along.
I think, I believe too, like this, I believe he waited that long. I had to go through what I had to go through that long, because what he had for me, I had to meet the same people and be able to minister to them, because I done been there. I can get there and I can shed a tear with them, honestly and truthful tear, honest and things.
And that's what we want to get to in part 2. Okay. So we're going to cut right here and film a second episode that you'll see a week after you're watching this. But we went to the lowest point, like Derek mentioned. And so make sure you come back for the next episode of Preacher in the Hat. We're going to go to the top. Amen. So we'll see you next time.
Amen.
Amen.